Okay, welcome to our Board of County Commissioners meeting for July 10th. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Agenda. Great. 500. My computer's not working. Do we have agenda approval?
Just one note on the agenda that action items 7A and 7B, the contents of the packet are switched. So 7A for convergent is the information read is under 7B, they're just for 7B and 7A.
I make a motion to approve the agenda with the recommendations made by the county administrator.
Second. First and second, any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Woodall?
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain?
Yes.
Chairman Spooner?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, consent agenda.
All right, on today's agenda, I have the July 1st meeting minutes. I have a comp time payout for Candy Panetta, one for Chrissy Aldretti, Billy Laporte, and Zachariah Warner. I also have a new hire for DHS, Kaylee Aldretti, and a new hire for Public Works, Kevin Chavez.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
First and second, any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Chamberlain?
Yes.
Commissioner Woodall?
Yes.
Chairman Spooner?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, on to appointments. 2 Peaks.
Hello.
Hello.
Back.
State your name and everything for the record. As you go. Do we need a mic over there?
They usually pick up right here by these.
Take that.
No, it's just.
Yeah. We worked out, so it's hopefully loud enough.
Thank you.
Oh.
Mike, you got the right weakness then.
This is our quarterly update. The county commissioners on the Lawsonburg Center. 2 Peaks. Let's see, I'm not sure we've got any equipment since the last time we spoke. We do have a incumbent bike expected. We paid for it and delivery should be by the end of the month. We are continuing our marketing efforts. We'll run a free ads today on KSK. We have a nice colorful ad in the newspaper and in social media. And our challenges continue to be what our challenges are. Amazing how many people don't pay their bill by the first of the month. So we text them, we call them, we say the bill code, and some of that. Our expenses are right about monthly revenue. It kind of depends every month. Our largest expense is payroll, so payroll has just gone up, so the numbers may change over the summer, by the end of the summer. You can see on this pretty page of graphs, next page, how our memberships are going. So basically, we had an all-time high in April of 130 members. And when I was here in early April, I see the fact that numbers look really good. I also suspected that would be a seasonal thing that would start going down, which it did. So we ended June with 117 members. Last June we had 78. That's an improvement. And since November, we have been over 100 memberships a month. so that's good. About a third of them are low income, so I do have that caveat. So, 117 members sounds really good, but then you realize they don't want to pay $35 or $40 a month, probably 15. Visits. March was again an all-time high, 1,037 visits. We're going down because, the sun is shining, it's not too windy, people are doing things outside. I have anticipated, and we'll see that over time. This year certainly reflects that the numbers go up in the winter and then they start going down as the weather gets nicer. So we are running a special right now to try to get some people in the door. I'm not sure anyone signed up yet, but it's only the 8th of the month. Okay. No updates on Facebook reviews. If you look at the financials, our operating account is continuing to go slightly higher every month. We started out the year when we opened with 26,000. Last November we did 27,400. In the end of March, we had almost 30,000, and right now we're at $30,738. So we are basically breaking even. We'll be going up a little bit more. That is pretty much it. There are no new pictures because we haven't gotten any new equipment. Any questions?
Just everything's running well. The people are saying it okay. And I mean, you said you're doing some advertising.
We're doing advertising. We did, started this, I think, in April. We had a little refreshment refrigerator. So you can buy water for $1, some sort of Gatorade thing for $2, muscle milk. This is all vegan stuff for $3. I just had to order more for muscle milk because that apparently is our best seller. So,
Well, build your muscles, right?
Kind of nice. We have 2 people staffing it, so our staff hours were from 7 a.m. to noon and 3 to 8 on weekdays. We are not staffed on weekends, but the door is, if you're a member, the door code can come in from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days. The members seem very excited to have a fitness center. They want to be sure we stay. So they pack their weights, they don't trash the place.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's a
We
plus.
have people shoveling the sidewalk in winter.
They're better than the Levita members.
They
I
are.
hate to say that.
Yeah.
Levita's my cheap, so,
Yeah.
but they are.
Well, Levita's been around for 13 years and there's been a gentleman Levita for a long time. Since like 2002, so almost consistently. So they kind of take that for granted. In Walsenburg, it's like, they're not taking us for granted yet. And maybe that's a good thing because they really, they're really proud of what we have here. So, I revised the business plan so many times over the over the last year and a half. I don't even look at it anymore, but I am happy to say, we are basically breaking even. That was my goal, to meet our expenses.
That's a plus. Cool. Well, good. Well, I've heard great things about it, so people like it.
All right. See you again in 3 months. Not soon.
Yeah. Very good. That's
Thank
cool.
you.
I appreciate it.
Get the crypto eyes.
That's right.
That's a bad saying.
No kidding.
Texas.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for all your support.
Okay, Vonnie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
some of you who don't know me, I'm Bonnie Valdez, and I've been the corner of Oak since 2014. And I am here to present my annual report under state statute that I need to do every year for the commissioners. And so I will go over what happened as far as deaths in Huerfano County the past year. The coroner's office is a state statute mandated position. And under the state statute, the coroner has their different, the set job description and duties that the coroner does need to perform. And basically, the main responsibility for the coroner is to determine the cause and manner of death. And then certify that death. Other duties that the coroner's office does hold is the legal pronouncement of a decedent, notifying the next of kin, taking possession of the decedent's body and personal belongings, discovering the names and certifying death certificates. And then I also oversee any private burials on private lands or private cemeteries. The jurisdiction of the coroner is in Huerfano County, and that's the area that I service. And this past year, we did have a total of 98 deaths in Huerfano County. And all the deaths are reported to the coroner's office. Of those 98 deaths, we had 45 of the deaths that we actually had to go out on and do an investigation. And out of those 45 deaths, 19 of those cases did require autopsies. And then we did have 2 cases that were a transfer of jurisdiction. And what that means under state statute is if the incident occurred in Huerfano County that resulted in a death, that gets kicked back to my office. So the example I use is like if someone falls and they should have a brain bleed, they get transferred up to a facility in Springs, a higher acuity facility, and that person dies because of a brain bleed from a fall. They do notify the Huerfano County coroner, and that case does come back to us because the injury resulted in the death from our county. And then on page 7, we go into the different types of deaths that we've had. 53 of the 98 deaths were considered hospice deaths, nursing home deaths, or deaths that a patient was in the hospital and the physician was actively involved in that case. In those cases, the coroner does not have to go out on that call, provided that death is natural and it did not result from medication error or a fall or injury. 45 of the deaths we actually had to go out and do a scene investigation on. And again, 19 of those deaths did result in autopsy. And I like to look at every year when our office experienced a high volume of deaths. And every year it's different. And we track the time the deaths come in, the month, the day of the week. And this past year, November was our highest month for deaths. And if you recall, that's the month where we had like 4 feet of snow and everything was shut down for several days. And it was very challenging during that time with all the deaths we had. And then September was our second busiest month. And every year it's different. The days of the week, the busiest days this past year was Saturday. And then Thursday and Sunday also had a lot of deaths. And the calls where the deaths were more frequent was between 5 and 6 in the evening. And then we also saw some early morning deaths between 3 and 4, and then 8 and 9. And again, it's different every year. Page 9, we it gives the autopsies by year, how many we do each year, and it's all dependent on if we're able to determine cause and manner, and that occurs by taking a good family history when we're on scene, looking at the medication, reviewing medical records. And if we still can't determine a cause and manner of death, then we look at autopsy. And then again, there are certain statute requirements that do require autopsy automatically, like suicide, accidents, motor vehicle crashes. Those are automatically where we do an autopsy. And then I have provided a historical look of the coroner deaths in Huerfano County since 2014 to current. On page 10, it addresses where the deaths occur. Many of the deaths occur in the decedent's home. Sometimes we look at other locations. We had a couple that occurred out like in the Forest Service area, areas that were not the decedent's home, but we look at all that and we document that also. And the manner of deaths, again, we had 83 that were natural deaths, and we had a total of 8 that were accidental deaths. And we did have a high suicide rate this past year of 7, and no homicides this past year, and no undetermined deaths. On page 11, we also the coroner's office also looks at the age, and we had deaths for anywhere from 24 days to 101. And on the 24 days, we did have a motor vehicle accident that occurred. And the mother, there was 3 people in the car, and the mother was pregnant, and she did, the accident caused her to prematurely deliver, and the baby was put on life support and lived 24 days, and then they determined the baby was brain dead. So they did have to terminate life support. But that is, under state statute, something that I do need to document, and that did come back to our county that day. On page 12, I break down the types of deaths, and cardiac disease remains to be the #1 cause of death, and that is, nationwide, that is still the predominant cause of death is cardiac. And then cancer. Our cancer deaths are increasing slightly, and we document the different types of cancer when we screen all the deaths, and anywhere from breast to blood, renal, esophageal, pancreatic cancer. And then the third leading cause was respiratory deaths, and those include like COPD, pneumonia, lung cancer, those type of things. On page 13, I go into our accidental deaths. And again, we had a total of 8 accidental deaths in 2014. The first one was a motor vehicle crash, and that did occur on Highway 12. And the decedent was hit by a drunk driver who crossed over the median. Then we had 2 deaths that involved falls. One was a 91-year-old gentleman who fell back and hit his head, resulting in multiple brain bleeds. And then a 73-year-old man who fell in his shop, and he also had traumatic brain injury and bleeds. Then lastly, we did have 5 drug overdoses in Huerfano County, and 3 of those were females, and 2 of them were males. And if you look at the data for our drug overdoses, fentanyl was on board in every single drug overdose that we had. fentanyl, methamphetamines, we had heroin, and cocaine. So primarily I'm seeing fentanyl, methamphetamines, and then heroin and cocaine is on the comeback. We are seeing more cocaine deaths. On page 15, it's kind of shocking. We did have 7 suicides this past year. And a suicide is an incident where someone makes a decision to end their life. They may or may not leave a note. And males are 4 times more likely to commit suicide than females per the CDC. In our suicide deaths, all of them were males, anywhere from 26 to 69. And we did see 3 hangings this past year and 4 gunshot wounds to the head. All of these cases, the decedent did have drugs and or alcohol on board when they took their life. We had no homicides and no undetermined deaths. An undetermined death is an example of that is if you might find skeletal remains and you're unable to determine from the skeletal remains that you find that trauma was involved. And so many times you have to rule that undetermined. But this year we have no undetermined deaths, no homicides. For autopsy information, we do send all of our cases that need autopsy to El Paso County Coroner's Office, and they have board certified forensic pathologists on board, and they are one of the #1 certified forensic labs where we can get our toxicology, and we do toxicology on every death. And again, we did a total of 19 autopsies in 2014. And deaths on page 17, deaths involving drugs. Out of the 98 deaths, 11 of them did involve drugs, either prescription or illicit drugs. And the chart breaks down the different drugs that we did see in the deaths. And as far as burials on private land in 2014, I did have 1 death that needed to be registered with the county clerk, and they do have to follow certain procedures in order to have someone buried on private land, and that was filed with the county clerk, and GPSs are taken, and an informational sheet is also filled out. And other than that, I couldn't do my job without the support of the commissioners and law enforcement, and I just appreciate it. I've always felt so supported in my office, and my staff appreciate that too. So are there any questions? Okay.
Actually, I was going to ask about the private cemeteries. How does that work with a private and somebody trying to get into a specific
private cemetery? Okay, they would need to get permission from whoever has the private cemetery. In a private cemetery, you have to include that in your property deed, and you have to name, the cemetery has to be named, and it has to have a fence around it.
Yeah.
So as long as you have permission from whoever has the private cemetery, you can be buried. Now for private burials on private lands, we do not have any guidelines in place within our county, like if you own 1 acre or 2 acres or 3 acres. Some counties have it in place where you need at least 35 acres in order to do this, but we do not have that in place. But basically the guidance that I need to look for when I go out and GPS an area is this location close to a well, a stream, a septic system? Because we don't want that. And we, tell the people they need to have the grave at least 6 feet just because of animal activity. And then we do the GPS coordinates and write down their cause of death, the name and their age, and then get that recorded with the county clerk. So some of the challenges that, and I have talked to the homeowners association presidents in Navajo and Black Diamond. If you don't want people buried in your development, it's a good idea to put that in your covenants, because I have had 2 people from Navajo approach me who maybe have 1 acre or 2 acres who want to be buried on their land. So, but that is an area we do not have covered for our county. So I think it'd be a good idea to look at. But other than that,
And then how about one that's already a designated like historic cemetery, like the one on Huerfano, Orphan Butte, or Orphan, or whatever it is called, Orphan
you know,
Cemetery.
we have a lot of those private cemeteries all over our county.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
And if, you know, many times family members oversee them, and then there's a changeover, and sometimes it's a challenge to find out who's overseeing and caring for the cemetery. But basically anyone can be buried there. What one has to really watch for is someone's not already buried there. Because sometimes I get complaints, they'll come to the coroner's office, and we have to, you know, talk with law enforcement, that they'll want to bury someone, and they'll get their grave digger out there, and someone's already buried there. And most people are respectful and find a different spot. Some people have buried a casket on top of another casket.
Oh, wow.
So, but the coroner has no jurisdictions over the cemeteries. And so I just encourage them, we try and keep a list of who might be overseeing certain cemeteries. But again, that changes frequently, and sometimes I'll get calls saying, I just got a call this past week saying if I knew where someone was buried at the Masonic Cemetery. And I'm like, no. You know, I go and I can refer that to the caretaker to that, and hopefully records are kept. But that is a need in our county.
Yeah.
Records, better records of that. So,
Yeah. Okay.
any other questions?
That's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very
very much
much.
for your support and your time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Sorry. Okay, permits, licenses, and for the bulk water permit.
Morning, Commissioner Schaefer, from the Land's office. So there was an inspection conducted on the Mount Crusoe Ranch. And it was at the Color Lounge and Raisin Ranch in the DD Lot 80 in Gardner. And upon the investigation, there's an unpermitted camper and an unpermitted shipping container on the property.
And everything else is okay on that?
Yes.
Okay. No motion.
Staff recommendation is hopefully that if we can bring them into compliance with their camper and their comics, have them come into compliance prior to getting the bulk water.
That's all.
What does compliance mean for a shipping container?
So that is a conditional use permit, and it's $150. And then they have to also tell us what they're storing in that container.
And then the camper,
Camping permit,
just camping permit. And then I also had a question on the application itself. It states the user type is a non-county resident, and it says full-time resident, no. I'm a part-time or seasonal resident, then down in the permit, it states that he is requesting bulk water as a county resident.
Yeah, you,
So is that,
I think that comes from the different systems and different definitions. So the permit in SmartGov, county resident is someone that resides in the county, whereas a county resident in the GPID regulations, which govern bulk water, the county resident is someone that has property in that zip code.
okay,
Yes,
that answers my question.
one thing we want to clean up.
no, that's different. And that's our vacation home. We just got out of vacation yesterday.
Whether residential, because we always have here, and non-residential, because they're in the year. So I'm not always.
Didn't have time to get it on the agenda.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
Oh, I did that. Okay, get back here. I make a motion to approve the bulk water application and the permit number. Is that the 25-0003?
Yes.
And would it be pending compliance?
We usually use conditional on coming into compliance.
With the condition on coming into compliance with the recommendations of the land use office.
Second motion.
First and second, any other discussion or question? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Chairman Spooner,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank
So-
you, Commissioners.
If you would, once they come into compliance, give the commissioners a note saying that they are good to go.
Thanks. Thanks, James.
Nice, Sherry.
I hate not having finding my printed statement. Okay, now action items.
All right, so I'm going to go in the order that things are in the packet. So first I have for you a purchase order number 2025-075 for Sam Ferris. This is a payment in lieu of 20 hours of blade work. Back in the aftermath of the Spring Creek fire, we did some, we basically traded for an easement where we were going to do so many hours of blade work for the Ferrises in exchange for them allowing us to go on their property in order to correct some issues with the road. Basically, it's been a little while, and they approached us and said, well, why don't we exchange the hours of blade work for just pay us the value. So this number came from them, and we think it's a fair number.
I'll make a motion to approve purchase order number 025075 in the amount of $3,000.
Second.
First and second, any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Commissioner Wood,
Yes.
Chairman Spooner,
Yes.
motion passes. The commission does have a purchase order number 2025-074. This is for Convergent for controls for the elevator and doors, including the readers, for the 129 Candace building. We had a separate grant to pay for this. It is now going to be folded into the regular project. So it'll come out of county funds with a pretty decent reimbursement from DOLA as well. So
I make a motion to accept and approve purchase order 2025-074 in the amount of $61,202.56.
I'll second the motion.
First and second, any other discussions? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Waddell,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Chairman Spillier.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioner, next I have for you a proposal from TNT Electric Company for the Law Enforcement Center. This is for electrical engineering for the fire alarm system. As you will remember, we have applied for a double grant to cover replacement of the system as well as other necessary safety improvements to that building. So this will allow us to hopefully be able to start as soon as we have that grant in hand, assuming we're awarded. Hopefully we'll find out by the end of the month about that.
So even if awarded, it would be only half of the overall project for jail. Right.
So like the fire alarm system as a component is about $500,000 in total, I think.
Okay.
This engineering piece, getting it done sooner just makes us, hopefully let's be able to start that project in an ideal time like this fall and get it done before too long.
Right. That needs to be done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
um,
Have a motion.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to word it. I'll make a motion to approve the contract with TNT Electric Company Incorporated Electrical Contractors.
Second.
First and second, any other discussion or question? Actually, I was gonna ask, did these guys do the work, or some of the work on the judicial center originally? Do you know?
I don't
Okay.
remember. I wasn't really here for the vast majority of that project, so I don't remember all the subs. I will say we have worked with them on 129 Kansas and on some of the work for the engine performance contracting project. So McKinstry procured them. They did the competitive procurement for this, but I think they've done pretty good work for us in the past, and they can handle larger jobs. So we have a range of electricians we use from small jobs to big jobs.
Good deal. All right, call for the vote.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Commissioner Waddell,
Yes.
Chairman Spillier.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, and then next I have for you your beginning of July vendor run in the total amount of $289,904.42. In reviewing, we did find one issue with one of these payments. I'd ask you to approve it as is, and we will work on prepping the documentation with the sheriff's office for that. Other than that, I think this is good to go. Do you guys have any questions?
Okay. Make a motion to approve the vendor run in the amount of $289,904.42.
Second the motion.
First and second, any other questions or discussion? Call for the vote.
Commissioner Waddell,
Yes.
Commissioner Chamberlain,
Yes.
Chairman Spillier.
Yes.
Motion passes. And that is the end of action items.
Yeah, okay. And they correspondence.
All right. First, I have for you your GPID billing register for June 2025, your bulk water volume by customer report for June 2025, GPID system totals report for the same month, and then a letter from the library district noting they have appointed Tom Macedo as their secretary. And that's not something that we need to approve or anything like that, but it is good to keep track of who their officers are.
Sounds good. Very good. Okay, public comment. Do we have, obviously, no one in the room? Anybody online for public comment? D? State your name and address for the record, please. Oh, almost got there. There you go. No. Still muted.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Dee May Sandoval, Pueblo, Colorado. A few things. So just out of curiosity, is the vendor run done on a monthly basis?
Twice monthly.
Twice a month? Okay, and that'll be attached to the agenda, I would imagine. Thank you. And then I was also wanting to follow up if the commission had had any discussion about the grant that Chelsea Meese had got for Los Animas, Huerfano County, and to see if Huerfano County has decided what they're going to do with that.
So, yeah,
Go ahead and have Carl answer that for you.
so
Thank you.
Chelsea was hired to work a grant, but the grant is with the, keep trying that safe. They're the folks that actually have that grant contracted, and the county participates in the oversight of that grant and the work of the regional coordinator, but we're not the only voice in that. And we certainly don't have the money to pay anyone to do that work just in our county without the aid of that grant. So it's a partnership with Trinidad and Los Animas County that we work through in order to do that work. So we can't just go off by ourselves.
So it's basically a dead issue then. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then one last thing, Mr. Chamberlain, you had referenced a letter that was sent that was signed anonymously or was not signed. About the detention center there east of town. Is that letter for public viewing?
The email from,
Yeah.
Well,
Consortium or whatever of people who had no idea.
yeah, I can forward that to you.
Okay. I'd appreciate that, Mr. Young. Thank you. That's all I have.
thank you, Dee.
Okay, anyone else online?
No,
Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to staff reports.
Commissioners, I had a short week last week, so I didn't prepare a staff report for you, but I do have a couple of things from the county attorney to go over. First, in the matter of David P. Ferlino v. Sheriff Newman in the jail, the judge issued a motion to dismiss without prejudice. So at this point, we'll see if that matter comes back into district court or they refile it. But at the moment, that matter is closed. And then we did receive a suit from Robert Maldonado regarding some issues we've had with some disagreement we've had about the county road. So we're going to refer that to the county attorney and move forward with that one.
Okay. Excellent. And do we don't have a need for executive session?
Not today.
All right, we do have coming up at 11 a public works workshop and administration workshop at 1 o'clock. So now entertain the motion for adjournment.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
First and second. Call for the vote.
Commissioner Chamberlain?
Yes.
Order.
Yes.
Chairman Splitter.
Yes,
All right.
we are adjourned at 10:44.
Thank you.
Thank you.